Orbitkey offers a bunch of different ways to carry and organize your keys, plus a couple of other helpful goodies as well. And we've been testing various aspects of this system for over a year, so we're excited to jump in and share our thoughts with you. I'm Tom, the founder of PackHacker, where we use our expertise and real-world experience to provide practical resources and honest opinions, guiding you towards smarter travel. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Let's jump right into the overall Orbitkey ecosystem. Kicking it right off with the Key Organiser, this basically turns your keychain into a Swiss Army knife of keys and other tools. The main benefit of an organizer like this is to keep your keys from jingling around, as well as keep them protected inside of a sheath where they can't scratch anything else, either in your pocket or in your bag. This organizer holds 2 to 7 keys. However, you can get an extension piece if you'd like to hold more. We've been testing the active version in the black color because black. This more rubbery version offers a nice feeling in the hand, and overall it's held up pretty well considering we've been using it nearly daily for over a year. However, some of the lighter versions in the customer reviews have shown quicker wear and tear. I know there's a white version over there, has a lot of scuffs and marks on it. So just consider that as you're choosing the color for this specific active material. We also have 2 nylon versions, but they haven't quite seen as much use in testing as the active version. Orbitkey also offers this in canvas and leather, as well as just a plethora of colors across the board. So there's definitely a lot to choose from to fit your style of your EDC or your travel kit. This version does carry 2 to 7 keys on the inside, and there's also an exterior D-ring that can hold an additional key ring or other keys or any other accessories. Maybe if you have a larger car fob, it's going to work well for that. They include a couple of different washers that are going to be used depending on the amount of keys that are inside of the sheath area, and it's really important to get this right. So if you follow the instructions, that's going to create the best experience as you start adding all your keys on here and using this for longer. It's going to keep a nice tight fit depending on the number of keys inside. In addition to that, these screw and post pieces that we have going on here are a self-locking mechanism. And at first, I thought this was a bunch of marketing BS. However, in practice, it actually works quite well. If you tighten up this screw, you can actually feel it lock into place depending on how far that you've turned it. So the great benefit here is that if you want a little bit looser of a hold on your keys and you just want them to flip out really easily like that, you can do that by keeping it a little bit looser and locking it into place. However, if you want a tighter fit, you want to kind of get your keys out a little bit more in the action of what you'd have with a Swiss Army knife or something similar, a little bit harder to get out, you can do that too if you screw this thing in a bit tighter. So nice that there's some versatility there and it actually locks into place. In over 1 year of usage, this has held up pretty well so far. Even after taking it apart and putting it back together to switch out keys, it's held up decently well. And it's come loose on maybe 2 occasions, but it's easy enough to use a coin to just tighten it up or a flathead screwdriver. So far so good on the Key Organiser. Next up, we have the Orbitkey Clip, which we did not feel as positive about when compared to the Key Organiser. Honestly, if you like clipping your keys to your pants or inside of a backpack, we think you're better off going with an ordinary key ring and a carabiner compared to the Orbitkey Clip. Starting off with the clip portion, it looks like an ordinary carabiner, but functions a lot differently and is made out of much different materials. It offers a bit of a flimsy feel in your hand, and the mechanism functions in a similar flimsy way. We couldn't help but feel like we were going to break this thing every time we hinged and unhinged it, and it doesn't even really hinge. It's sort of here on this clip. A typical carabiner will hinge on the side here, but this is sort of just an extra piece of material that kind of bends up. So definitely a bit of a different design as well, and this just happened, so it actually gets caught quite often when you're clipping and unclipping it. So that is just overall a con. Doesn't feel like a super great setup to us. And honestly, a regular carabiner is going to be more robust than this clip. It definitely feels like it's never truly closed, and that adds additional risk that this thing is just gonna fall off of either your belt loop or your pack, wherever you end up wanting to hang your keys. At the end of the clip, there is a small clasp which functions sort of like a belt loop. You can just slide it off and that can completely detach the clip. That small clasp design doesn't really seem necessary, as you can still fit the key ring on here without undoing that, and it just creates another place for the clip to fall off of the key ring. Moving on to the ring portion of the Orbitkey Clip, we overall dig the way it looks. However, it is made from similar material to the clip, which again, we haven't found to be the best material. Orbitkey mentions that you can carry up to 10 keys on this thing, providing that they fit. Not every key that we have works on this system. So for instance, we have a bike lock key, and the hole that is on is just too small to fit in here when compared to an ordinary metal keychain. To open the keychain, you pull the tab down and rotate it 180 degrees. Then you're met with an opening where you can quickly and easily slide keys on. Now, this doesn't necessarily end up being a lot easier than an ordinary metal key ring because you have to rotate it so far. And then once you have a bunch of keys on there, it can kind of be cumbersome to fully open up as well. Again, a metal key ring is totally fine. And for a quick pro tip, you can just use nail clippers to open up a metal key ring if you don't want to use your fingers. The key clip is offered in a bunch of different colors, but you know us, we chose the black on black version. It only took us 2 weeks of use before we decided that the key clip just wasn't for us. It doesn't feel sturdy enough, and it feels a little bit risky carrying around your keys in this way when that carabiner clip does not fasten, and then there's an additional place for the key ring to fall off of the clip. So again, we really love the key organizer that we mentioned first, but the clip is just not for us. Next up, we have the trusty Multi-Tool that we have been testing for over a year alongside the Key Organiser. It's great to have a tool like this close to you on your keys, and it is likely within arm's reach whenever you need it. The low profile is good as well. It's on the smaller side for some micro tools that we have seen. However, this is actually a benefit for travel. It's less intimidating, less likely to get flagged by TSA. And just to add, we're not trying to sneak anything past TSA. At the time of this review, it is TSA compliant. However, just note that if you're going to be bringing a larger multi-tool, it is more likely to get flagged. This little guy on your key ring, less likely to get flagged because it blends in more and it isn't quite as intimidating looking. This handy and small multi-tool comes with 6 different tools in one. We've got a bottle opener, a multi-size hex wrench, a box cutter, a flathead screwdriver, and a file. The box cutter feature has opened just about every single package we've ever received here at Pack Hacker. And actually, come to think of it now, I'm not really sure how we opened packages before this one came. The flathead screwdriver piece has been really great to tighten up loose door handles at Airbnbs, as well as using it out on the field when some photography gear needs a little bit of maintenance. And of course, the bottle opener feature, that has been used plenty. If you grab the key organizer, we would definitely recommend picking up the multi-tool as well. It is a handy little piece of kit that integrates really nicely within the key organizer. The last piece is relatively new to the Orbitkey ecosystem at the time of this review. The Travel Kit offers a handy way to remove and store SIM cards when you're on the road. This is especially great in countries where it's just a little bit better and a little bit cheaper overall to use local data with a SIM card there. You just pop it out, put that new SIM card in, and then store your old regular SIM card within the Travel Kit. Before this, I personally used a small plastic bag to hold all of my extra SIM cards. At the end of my 2 years as a digital nomad, I think I had a collection of about 30. I sort of just collected them and, just kept them as like little keepsakes. Kind of wanted to see how many I would get. Now the Travel Kit holds 2, which is totally enough. Usually when you use one of these, they are disposable and you chuck it out. So maybe you want one and an extra, and then you've just got your one that you just have regularly from wherever it is that your main phone plan is from. With the Travel Kit, it is really easy to remove the SIM tray pin for removal from a device. This is the exact correct size, and it's much better than trying to use a push pin or a paper clip while you're on the road. Again, if you are at an Airbnb or a hotel, you got to go track one of these things down in order to flip one of these things out without a special tool. The sleeve that comes in is a kind of silicone feel. Maybe it's the same TPU material as we've seen on that key organizer that we've been testing. Just really easy to kind of pop SIM cards in and out. There's really nothing too special about it. It's sort of just a silicone tube. Maybe there could be a little bit more thinking around the organization and a 2.0, but it gets the job done and it's secure. There's a bunch of other stuff in the Orbitkey ecosystem that we haven't necessarily tested yet, and we do have some thoughts on them even though we haven't tested them. We have not gotten our hands on the Orbitkey strap yet, but we think that will be kind of similar to the Clip, where it looks a little bit better online than it is in actual practice. The USB 3.0 drive is pretty self-explanatory. We chose not to take up precious space on the key organizer with this thing, as we have found smaller flash drives, especially great with use for travel. The bottle opener is pretty much a pared down version of the Multi-Tool. The Multi-Tool offers a lot more functionality in a small package. We just recommend grabbing that instead, and arguably it is lighter since there is less material cut out for the other pieces of the Multi-Tool. The nail file and mirror is an interesting concept if you want to use that often. We haven't tested it yet, but we enjoy the concept. And lastly, the extension post. We haven't done hands-on testing with this yet, but it will allow you to add more keys to that key organizer should you choose to do so. Wrapping this up, we are a polarized bunch when it comes to Orbitkey's ecosystem. We've had some really great luck with the key organizer and then not so great luck with the key clip. The accessories are overall pretty good as well. We would love to hear what you think in the comments below, and be sure to hit our individual review pages over at packhacker.com, where we cover the pros and cons, the overall rating, as well as the full written review. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next video.